Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rich Black Dog podcast. My name is Claudia Pascal and I am your host. Today we're going to get a little bit more into the details of buying a home, especially for the purpose of hacking. And whether you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe if you have not already done so, because we're going to continue talking about different things that will be valuable for you to know if you're considering and planning to buy a home as well as hack the home. Now, what we're going to talk about today is by no means comprehensive and everything that you need to know down to the T for this process. It's going to be like a general overview, and it's going to highlight things that I especially have learned throughout my journey of buying a house to hack with my husband. So jumping right into our discussion for today, we're going to be talking about the things that we want to make sure we know, have, and do before we actually say that we're ready to begin the home buying process. Now, if you are listening in and you are not in a position to buy a home yet, the things that I talk about will still be very valuable to you. And if you are ready to buy a home, many of the things I say may be a review for you, and it also may bring out some things that you probably did not consider, especially if you're going to be hacking the home that you buy, the home or the property that you buy. So don't think that this episode does not apply to you if you're not going to be buying a home. Still tune in, take notes, save it, and come back to it later when you are ready, just so you can keep in mind the things that I'm going to share to help you on your journey. Now, I don't know if you all have heard of the show called Undercover Billionaire, but I absolutely love that show. There's 2 seasons that are out, and I remember watching the first season with my husband, and that literally flipped my mind in terms of the idea of investing, entrepreneurship, and whatnot. And the second season was even better. They had 3 individuals on there, including my girl, Monique, who I love and I really hope to be able to meet one day. But I want to bring the attention to Grant Cardone, who some of you may know, because this guy was literally, he was struggling, y'all. He was not making any progress for the longest of time. And then he ended up leaving to go back to family during COVID, which I completely understood. But that also set him back. But pretty much when he came back, he had just a little bit of time left in the 60 days that they were given. I believe they were already past the 30-day mark. And he still had nothing going for him in terms of meeting the requirements of the challenge. But he had this vision, he knew he could do this. He knows he has a plan and he has a vision and it can work. It's just a matter of figuring out how to make it work. And what he said that sticks with me till this day and will stick with me forever is creativity follows commitment. And I want to share that with you guys so you could add it to your mindset, because there's just so much gold in that statement in and of itself. He had nothing, but the fact that he was committed is what allowed him to now get creative to find something to achieve his goal. And I wanted to share that with us because many of us may be in a place where we feel like we don't know where to begin. We have nothing to begin with. We have no one. And it just seems impossible or hard. But just as I've been talking about in my past episodes, it's all a matter of making the commitment that you want financial freedom, making the commitment that you want to create passive income and create wealth. When you make that commitment and you're no longer standing at that fork in the road, trying to decide what you're going to do, which way you're going to go, you will then now begin to identify ways to make it happen. You will find yourself getting creative because you are committed to making it happen. So you may think you don't have money right now to get a home. You may think you don't have the money to start the business you want to start, the money to take care of your family or whatever it is you're trying to do. But trust me, staying committed to making it happen and having that belief that it is possible will activate and catalyze your creativity to find the ways to make it happen. Grant Cardone ended that series with the evaluation. He had the highest amount. His business that he created ended up being worth way more than the 2 ladies who started and were making progress long before he was. So all of that to show our journeys may be different, our starting points may be different, but it is not impossible. And us being committed will allow us to find the creativity and have the resilience to make our goals happen. Now, with that said, as we are preparing to get into real estate, we're preparing to buy a home, hack the home. There are some things that I found along my journey, things that I want you to keep in mind to make sure that you are as prepared as possible to succeed in that process of getting a home that will be able to be profitable for you in the end. There are 4 things that I have come up with as being important to take care of important to either take care of or keep in mind as you prepare to start your home buying journey. First is credit score. Second, cash. Third, calculations. And fourth, contacts. So 4 C's. So the first one is credit score. If your credit score is not in a great place, there are some opportunities that you just simply will not be able to access just because of your credit score, even though you may have the cash. Or you may still have access to those opportunities despite your credit score not being the greatest, but now you're having to put in more cash. And that's the reason why I believe this is a starting point. So the sequence in which I listed these terms, credit score, cash, calculations, and contacts, is the order in which I propose you also address these points. I recommend you start with credit score. So even if you are nowhere near ready to buy a home, you can start by taking a step of making sure your credit score is in an ideal place and figuring out what you can do to get it to the ideal place for you to be ready when you're going to be making your home purchase. The better your score is, the better the rates that you will get. And with better rates, you now have the ability to pay less for your down payment and pay less for your monthly payments because your interest rates for your mortgage is also going to be lower. These are 2 essential things to helping you go into this already winning, because many of us may think, okay, if I have the money, why not put more money in so that I don't have to borrow much money? Like it kind of goes back to the mindset of how comfortable we are with carrying debt. Some people just don't like carrying debt a lot, and they rather put as much of their own money in as possible to avoid having a high debt amount. However, when it comes to real estate investing and trying to position yourself to get the highest returns on your investment, one of the essential things is putting down as little money as possible for the investment. If you remember the calculation I made for the return on investment, you're dividing your cash flow by the amount of money you had to put in. So the less money you put in, then the higher your ROI can be. I know for some of us, it may, sound uncomfortable. And if it is, then, don't do it. But your goal is to put down as little money as possible, even if you have the money. Okay. And this is hopeful for those of us who may not have a lot of money. If we can have a strong credit score on our side, then we can guarantee that we will be able to put the lowest down payment possible and that we will get the better deal when it comes to our monthly payments. Okay. And I'm sure you all already know, but key things to keep in mind when it comes to your credit score is making sure you're not having high consumer debt, making sure you're not making late payments, and making sure you don't have a lot of hard inquiries being done before you're going to buy the home and during the process of buying the home. So those are some things to keep in mind. The second thing is cash. So you are going to have to put some kind of cash in, depending on the kind of loan that you get. If you are a resident that's going to be buying a home, or if you're a new grad, it's very possible you will qualify for a physician's loan. Even though it's called physician's loan, you still qualify if you're a dentist, pharmacist, etc. But pretty much having a doctorate degree comes with having high amounts of debt most of the time. And that may be a concern for lenders. However, lenders who understand that we have high debt, but we're also going to be walking into high income potentials, they are willing to look over that and give us a loan. And not only are they willing to give us a loan, but many times they're requiring you to put 0% down and they're giving you high amounts. So you may be qualifying for like $1 million to buy a real estate property. So that varies per state, varies per lender. Not every lender does it. So it's all a matter of doing your search and finding out who offers the loan and then seeing the requirements. Because that's another thing, is that there are stipulations that come with the loan. So there may be things that you cannot do when you get a physician's loan that you would have been able to do if you got a conventional loan. So definitely do your research. And at the end of the day, what is important is just seeing all of your options. But speaking to those of us who will be putting some kind of cash down, we're not having a physician loan or a VA loan, because that's another loan that allows you to put 0% down. You are wanting to make sure that you have a certain amount of cash already ready to go before you even try to go look for a home. Because you don't want to go try to get a home and now you're stressed, scrambling, trying to make up the money, and then you lose a home and all the things that come with that. So I recommend looking at the area that you're looking to stay in, looking at what the home prices are going for, looking at what you think you want to go for, and whatever is that average amount, of course, be conservative, go on the higher end, right? And say, okay, if I'm trying to get a home that costs $500,000, for example, let me try to have 7 to 10% of that amount ready for this home buying process. Why do I say 7 to 10%? You will be putting down at the least 3% for the home. The rest of that 7 to 10% is money that you will now use to furnish your home. And if you have extra left over, you're going to put aside for your emergency savings, right? So just in case something happens, for those of us who are going to be hacking, we're going to have renters. Just in case we have vacancy, we want to have money ready for those months where we're not collecting rent from anyone. So I highly recommend you keep in mind creating a reserves. And if you can already buy the house with reserves, perfect. If not, it's okay. It's just a matter of, once again, looking at your numbers. But that is why I recommend the 7 to 10% to cover the down payment and furnishing, and if possible, emergency. For furnishing, when it came to our home that we bought to house, not including the actual Airbnb expenses, that's a whole nother story. We spent about $5,000 just on furniture items alone. Now, that's not including other little things that add up, like sheets, linen, things like that. But we spent $5,000. With that, I do want to make note that that $5,000 could have been more if we did not make a deal with the previous owners and pay for the bed that they had. So when they were moving, they actually had beds that they didn't want to take with them because they were downsizing. And so it was available for sale. They was going to try to just do a big yard sale to sell it. But we saw that and we was like, hey, how much are you asking for it? And it was a very decent price. So we ended up getting the bed frame with the bed. It was a full size bed. And then they also had a queen bed. And we just went ahead and kept the bed frame, even though it was super old looking. But we just said, hey, we'll just take it and we'll figure that out later. But that was a huge win for us. And it's a win that you also might be able to take advantage of. People do it all the time when they're buying a home. The owners may be selling items or not want items. And you can say, hey, can you leave the furniture? If you get a home that's fully furnished and you can negotiate a great deal with the owner and you can afford it, you are 100% set. You literally are going to just coast on into your house hacking journey and be okay. So keep that in mind, that you want to make sure you are having money ready to go for the furnitures that you will have to purchase. I do want to throw out there part of what we had to do, which once again, if you don't have all that cash, I want you to know there are ways to make it happen once within your comfort zone, within your circumstances, and with you understanding what it comes with. But one way to make it happen is also through credit cards. So if you have a good credit score, you have credit cards you qualify for credits with high limits, then you might very well be able to afford all of those furnishings on the credit card as well. So you may not have cash. You may not have 7 to 10% in cash. You just have your 3% down. But because you have a great credit score, you are then able to get credit cards that's going to cover for those expenses. And then you're okay. But once again, you have to make that decision for yourself if it's the way that you want to go. And just keep in mind, furnishing will cost you. And if you're going to be house hacking, you're going to in order to target those ideal tenants that's going to pay the high price, like your travel nurses and even students sometimes who are willing to pay the extra rent fee because it comes furnished. You want to make sure you're providing a nice setup for those individuals so that you can be charging them $900 a month as opposed to $500 a month because they have to bring in their own furniture. That's what's going to play a big role in making this whole process easier for you, is having that furniture, because you can now tap into those ideal clients. So 7 to 10%, 7, I say on the lease side, just because depending on the size of your home and the furniture and the items that you need, your expenses may be as low as $5,000 or it may go as high as 10. We don't know until you actually get into it. All we can do is be as prepared as possible. The third thing that we want to make sure we know and have down packed before we start buying a home is how we're going to calculate the home's value in terms of our house hacking and investment goals. So some of you may want to buy your first home with no intention of house hacking. You just want to say, hey, I can afford it. I'm living in a place where buying a home is better than renting. So I'm going to just buy a home to live in and benefit from the real estate and take advantage of the real estate benefits and have an asset that I can use later. No problem. Huge one for you. Go for it. I'm happy that you're considering that route and deciding that is best for you. Those of us who are getting a home for house hacking, we want to make sure that we are running our numbers correctly so that we don't end up getting a home that in turn is going to cost us more than we can afford. So when it comes to how much this home is going to cost you, we know hands down it's the mortgage we're paying every month. Some of you may be able to afford your mortgage and not need house hacking. But some of you may not want to pay your full mortgage. Some of you may not want to pay your mortgage at all. And some of you may want to generate cash flow. Remember, this journey is your personal journey and it's all about your personal goals. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that you want out of this home that you're purchasing? If you're going to house hack, you want to ask yourself, do I just want to pay less on my mortgage? Do I want to cover all of my mortgage, or do I want to cover my mortgage and have cash flow? Even if you just end up paying less on your mortgage, you are still winning. So please do not go bypassing opportunities just because you're not really making a lot of money from it. Owning the home is a plus. Having the home as an asset is a plus. Paying less on a mortgage is a plus. Being able to have it fully covered and generating cash flow are like bonuses. But once again, that's my opinion. It's all about for you. For you, it may be a deal breaker. For you, you may feel like I'm not going to hack unless it's paying all of it, unless I'm cash flowing. And it's no problem. You now have to keep that in mind and now make sure you're running those calculations to confirm that home will lead to you achieving your goals. So you know what the mortgage is going to be. You can easily calculate those things, like places like Realtor, Redfin. They have the calculators even right there in the listing itself. Your real estate agent can help you with those things, but you know that you're going to be paying a certain mortgage every month. You know what you can expect. What you need to now calculate is how much rent you can expect. So you need to figure out, for every home that you're considering to buy, you're going to have to figure out how much rent can you collect. So how many rooms are you going to be renting? If you're going to get a multifamily unit, you know you got a whole unit that you're renting, and you might be renting the rooms in each unit individually as well. But bottom line is, you got to ask yourself, how much rent can I collect from this home? How much can I charge for each space? If you're going to do travel nursing, and targeting students to pay for furnished rooms, or students or co-residents to pay for furnished rooms, you know you're going to be in a higher rent bracket potential, as opposed to if you're going to just rent it out long term and expect people to show up with their furniture. If you're going to tap into short-term rental, you know you in an even higher bracket. There are things out there that can help you calculate how much rent you can make. And it's places like Rental Meter. So that's just seeing how much rent is in an area as a whole. So if you're going to rent out the whole house, you can see what it's like. Rent out by the room, you can check what that's like. But you can also calculate, you can also estimate for yourself. You can also do searches like rooms for rent, see what it's going like in that area. And then if you're looking into the short-term rental, you know, that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. But AirDNA is one of the places that we used to calculate how much potential we had with the short-term rental. Now, one thing I want to caution is, even if you're planning to get into short-term rental, I highly recommend you calculate on the conservative side. Never choose a home looking at the highest amount of money you can make. You want to choose a home looking at the lowest amount of money you can make as how you can make if you're going to be renting out for an income. Okay. Always err on the super conservative side. My worst days, how much rent am I going to be collecting? If I'm not collecting any rent, can I cover this mortgage? You have to ask yourself this question, and you have to really look at your income that you're going to be earning and making sure you can cover those. Look at the emergency savings that you're going to create and make it the emergency savings that you will have. Make sure you can cover those. This, you guys, if you do not do this, everything we talk about is all in vain. Like it's just throw it all away. If you do not take the time to run these calculations, you are missing the whole point of this pursuing financial freedom push that I am making. It's all about strategizing. It's all about seeing what's the best way we can make our money work for us. What's the best way we can create passive income, decrease our expenses, invest our money so that we can get closer to, or so that we can get to the point where we are not actively trading our time for money. So take your time, run those calculations, and understand what that property will cost you, what that property will make you, so that at the end of the day, it reaches your goal and it's within your means. Okay. If y'all need clarification or help with that, hit me up. Okay. But that's that part, the calculations. Super, super, super important step. Don't matter how much good credit you have. It doesn't matter how much cash you have. If you don't run your calculations well, you can set yourself up for the failure that everybody named mama is trying to tell you you're going to go through with this process. You will not fail if you calculate and run your numbers well. Okay. So last thing is contacts. So this, once again, is the last step because it's not the most important step. You don't want to start trying to reach out to any real estate agent or anyone until you know your credit score is good. You're going to get pre-approved, and you're going to get pre-approved for the amount that you need. You don't want to start contacting anyone unless you know you have cash ready for the expense. And you don't want to start contacting anyone to look if you don't even know what you're looking for based on your goals and the calculations that you need to be making. So the contacts that you will need for your home buying process. Of course, number one is you're going to need a real estate agent. Hands down. They're going to be the one helping you search for the home. But I want to stress the importance of not just choosing any real estate agent. Even if it's your friend, your family, even if it's you need to make sure that the real estate agent that you are working with understands your goals and is able to lead you to the properties that's going to help you make your goals. Not every real estate agent is an investor or understands what comes with investing. There are many real estate agents out there who know nothing about it, and they therefore cannot properly help you vet those properties. You're either going to have to sit down and teach your real estate agent what your goals are, what you're looking for, and why, or you just move on and try to find someone else who already knows it and therefore can save you the stress and the hassle. Your real estate agent can either be a headache or they can be a relief for you. Okay. You want them to be an asset. You don't want them to be a liability. You don't want them to be adding stress, to be increasing your chances of something not going well. You want it to be someone who's going to add value and help you achieve your goals successfully, and who is going to be listening to you and truly care about what you want. Oh, we could have a whole conversation about real estate agents, y'all. Like, me and my husband had an experience when we was looking for our home, and I'm just so grateful to God that we found our real estate agent. If you're in California, Southern California, let me know. I can hook you up with my real estate agent or ask him who he knows. But you guys, please do not settle on a real estate agent. You want to make sure you are interviewing them and getting to know them and watching for those cues to make sure they're the best one for you. There's many videos and things out there that you can watch. I'll tell you what you want to look for in a real estate agent. But please make sure you do your diligence, okay? So you want to have a solid real estate agent that understands and will help you get to your goals. Your real estate agent also is a very important component because they're also going to lead you to the rest of the individuals that will be essential for your home buying process. So the rest of your contacts, the rest of your team members, a lot of them are going to come from your real estate agent. And that includes your broker, who's going to help you figure out what loan to get, your lender, who's going to provide you the loan, which your broker will also direct you to the lender. And then they'll direct you to whoever's going to inspect the home for your appraising, and just others. Like, they usually just have a network. So if you have a good, solid real estate agent, they most likely are going to have a good, solid network that they're working with, a team that they're working with to help you achieve your goals. So that's that one main contact that leads to the others is your real estate agent. Then the other contact that we honestly didn't have, and that's because California didn't require it, but I realized other states require it because I've been watching like shows like Ladies Who Listen in Atlanta. I love that show. But the other contact that you want to keep in mind is a real estate attorney. Now, we did not actually work with a real estate attorney. I didn't even know that was a thing and the reason why I most likely didn't know is because in California, you're not required to have a real estate attorney at your closing. However, there are many states that require real estate attorneys. And I realized that as I was watching shows like Ladies Who Listen in Atlanta. I love that show. And what you'll notice is they always had an attorney that does their closings, like literally shows up and does the signing with them. And that's because that's required. Now, even though your state doesn't require it, I still recommend you consider it because they will be the ones now checking all of your contracts, all the documents, titles, everything, like really doing a thorough search to make sure that there's nothing that is being overlooked or that will come to bite you later. But consider getting a real estate attorney to be on your team. And then the other person is like an accountant, which, you may already have one. If not, that usually comes later. And then contractors. So just to recap everything we talked about, before you even say, I'm ready to start looking for a home, I'm ready to, well, at least I should say seriously looking for a home, because my husband and I were looking at homes even before we were ready. It's honestly just fun. And I recommend you do it too. If you're thinking about buying a home, there's open houses. Just go in, just take a look, see the vocabulary, hear what they're talking about, watch a lot of HGTV shows, watch a lot of house flips, things like that. Like, watch those shows to start really helping you understand what home ownership and real estate is all about, because it will really, really help you on your journey, giving you perspective and insight and heads up on things to inspect and things like that. But going back to our recap, before you say, okay, I'm ready to seriously go buy a home, 4 things you want to keep in mind is your credit score, your cash, your calculations, and your contacts. If you can make sure you do your diligence with these 4 things, especially the calculations, you guys, especially the calculations. I repeat, especially the calculations. If you make sure you have these 4 things solid before you start, you are literally setting yourself up for success. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And this right here, this episode is just all about planning, making sure you are planning well so that you can actually do well. So I hope you guys found this episode helpful. Let me know, Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Comment, DM me, follow me on Instagram at Dr. Claudia Pascal if you have not already done so. And let me know if these things are helping you on your journey. If there's other subjects that you want to hear about, let me know so that I can be able to share. As I mentioned, I have different things on my journey that we've gone through that I don't want you to go through, which is why I've even, which is why I'm even here sharing, is because my hope is to help you to not have to go through those mistakes and challenges so that you can be able to get to that financial freedom and get to whatever it is your personal goals are, because you deserve it. You have been working so hard. You are going to be working so hard, whatever it is you do. And you deserve to be able to know that your finances are secured and taken care of. And if you are set on starting with real estate as your strategic entry point and using house hacking as your strategic entry point, then I am excited for you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode so we can just keep talking a little bit more about this. Bye, you guys. Take care.